Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest is filmmaker Sofie Somoroff.
Just Sophie.
Just
Sophie
Sofie?
Somoroff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I get it right. And, of course, Celina Bernstein. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I was at Nightmares Film Festival, a great film festival in Columbus, Ohio. Always, great independent horror from everywhere. Jason runs a great show. And I saw your short, Ride Baby Ride.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to say that was a very interesting, brutal horror short film.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super happy to be here. Thanks for including us in your wonderful podcast, and we're excited to chat more about the project.
Yeah, so Ride Baby Ride, tell me how you came up with it. Was it doing something based in your life or
Well, I do have a pretty old, shitty car.
Okay.
So that was one possible inspiration. If any podcast listeners here are good mechanics, please reach out because it is having some problems. But the other part of it and the other idea I think that informed making the movie was I was thinking a lot about what it feels like to be underestimated. And I was excited to make a movie where we get to see this character, that's kind of the initial kernel of her experience that begins the story, but then kind of let it be this ultimately victorious experience for the character where she can overcome some pretty harrowing things that she goes through, but ends up coming out on top, and hopefully people feel like it's a celebration of her strength, first and foremost.
Yeah, Celina, you played the main character in the film.
That's right.
Let's talk about the part where you were like strapped in the car. I'm not going to spoil or anything. You're trying to get out of there with your life. How much preparation did you prepare yourself for that character? Because that scene you were doing was pretty brutal and sexual, especially with that demonic hand.
Yeah, well, so I think Sophie and I have been just collaborating on, I think this is our 5th short film we've done together now, so there's a level of comfort and a shorthand between the two of us that allows us to kind of go deeper into some of those more intense parts. So I think the biggest thing that really helped was having that trust already, and that extended even to our lovely hand performer. The hand is played by the person who is also our incredible production designer and special effects guy, who is actually in real life my partner. So obviously there was also that level of comfort there where we were able to, really be in the fear and the intensity of the moment while the cameras were rolling, and then relax and have a comfortable environment outside of that.
That's pretty good. At least it was your partner doing it, because if it was somebody else... If that was somebody else, they'd probably be feeling awkward and uncomfortable going, I don't think I can do this.
Well, it's always a daunting task to figure out that kind of chemistry, because you need to, whether it's your partner or not, you need to find somebody that you're able to put that sort of trust in as an actor. And I've been very lucky in all the projects that Sophie and I have worked on together that we've really prioritized that, finding someone to make the whole thing feel really comfortable.
Yeah, and I mean, just off of that, like our last film, Love is a Fire, I think it deals with, I think intimacy in a very overt way, of course, and that was a very, I think, important kind of foundational experience to coming into this one, even though obviously like what you see on screen is very different. To like a big part of it was also learning how to cultivate that environment of trust and creativity and of course, consent within the whole thing, regardless of who's playing the hand. But we love Shane, and he did a great job across all his many roles on the project.
Also, the cinematography was phenomenal. There was some great shots and angles in certain scenes, especially inside the car, where Celina was doing her job, getting the audience invested into is she going to make it or she's not. And that's also kind of reminded me of a homage where she was like tied up with those seatbelts. It kind of reminded me from Tarantino's Death Proof, where you see Zoe Bell strapped on the end of the car, like holding on to her for her near death. That kind of reminded me of a little bit about that too. So,
yeah, I mean, it's nice that you bring up the cinematography. We'd love to shout out our incredible cinematographer, Gemma Dahl-Grossman is her name, and. Yeah, I mean, I would say I always write things that take place in really small spaces, which makes it a nightmare to shoot. Like if cars or bathrooms tend to be my favorite places to be. And it was a huge challenge to figure out how to keep the movie visually interesting just because we're in a really, really small space. And I don't know if you've been inside of a 78 Camaro, but it's definitely not a particularly large car. But, Gemma was incredibly creative and amazing. And everything from, our process of shot listing and mapping out the beats and understanding the important emotional shifts to communicate through camera were really important. But the other big part of us being able to shoot the film as we did was the specific camera and lens choices that Gemma made. So we shot on a camera called the Sony Venice, and it can go into this mode called Rialto mode, where you can actually fully separate the body of the camera.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So it makes it like a third of the size, which was truly the only way we were able to get a lot of these shots. And then we also were really excited about using some pretty wide angle lenses to add to, just like this dynamic, the dynamic feeling, I think, within the car.
It did. That's why I like the cinematography, because she did a great job. It felt like I was in the car with her witnessing this, but helpless not being able to help her, you feel like you were part of that scene right through that camera lens, which I really enjoyed. It really made the film more, holding on to the edge of your seat type of view.
Yeah, awesome. No, we're so happy to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so where'd you get the Camaro at?
This is a great story. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we partnered with Movie Maker magazine to make this movie, and we had the opportunity to pitch to them at Film Quest, which is another really amazing genre film festival.
Heard it.
That we were at last year with Love is a Fire, and we pitched to them, and in our pitch and in our partnership with them, they immediately were like, oh, we know a guy with this amazing 1978 Camaro. And that guy was a wonderful person named Tony. And he actually plays one of the men at the beginning of the film. And he was just super enthusiastic and excited about the project. We were saying kind of throughout our whole prep, like, this car is essentially number 2 on the call sheet. Like, that is Celina's scene partner. And so we needed... we needed someone we could collaborate with for the car to be able to do everything it was able to do.
Yeah, my favorite part about the car was where the blood was coming right out of the exhaust. That was cool. And how did you guys do that?
So,
a little bit of movie magic.
Yeah. Yes, Celina, do you want to talk about the
state of the car? Sure. I think some of the things that you might not expect we would have been able to do practically, we actually were. Like, the moment in particular that I'm thinking about is at the end when there's blood coming out from the bottom of the car.
Yeah.
The way we did that was there is literally a hole in the floor of the car, and so we poured blood through that hole. And I think that was part of what was so incredible about this car, we liken the process of finding it to kind of the perfect casting process, where once you have that, you look at the car, you look at its capabilities. There's a moment in the short, for example, where the window crank comes off.
Yeah.
And you can't write that in unless you get in the car and the window crank actually comes off. So there were all these incredible opportunities. And, some of those liquids oozing out, it's just about being a little bit tricky and placing it in there and waiting for it to drip at the right moment. But some of it was really just the car and all of its incredible weirdness.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it, and it was a homage to Christine. It was just like another possessed car like Christine. So, in the film, did this possessed demonic car have a name?
Ooh, it did not, but I'm open.
The guys at the beginning have names.
Yeah. Maybe it's like Stanley Jr. No, actually, we don't have a name, but we're open to any recommendations or pitches.
I was just wondering because I was watching it. Okay, it's possessed. She's been possessed. There's a demonic entity hand in there, so it has to have a name. I was waiting for like a little origin story, how this car was really possessed before she bought the car, and how it came to be, and how the demonic presence was part of that car. I was kind of waiting to see if anything like that could happen. And could you also see doing this as a feature film?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think there, obviously I think the possessed car territory is very present in the horror canon, and there's a lot to draw from, I think, in inspiration there. I don't have necessarily specific plans for what a larger story could be, but I'd love to watch Celina continue to destroy gross, lecherous cars. So
anytime, I'm available.
Yeah, hopefully we can find a fun way to elaborate on it to something bigger.
I also liked the music score to it too. It kind of had it kind of reminded me of one of the characters in the film. It kind of gave that little character vibe in it to make it more creepy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, our composer is named Elena Sindler, and he's absolutely fantastic and incredibly talented. It was really wonderful to work with her on this project, just in defining kind of how to keep the tension up when you're dealing with an inanimate object as the source for all the horror. And I think she did a really great job. We drew obviously somewhat from, like kind of a typical John Carpenter score as a jumping off point. But one of the things that I loved that she incorporated so beautifully was the use of vocals and kind of these like choral moments where we get to feel like, are there all these other women who experience something from this car whose souls are, trapped within it and conquering the car in the moment that Celina's character is as well. I think that it was a really fun choice and, a huge testament to Elena's talent that she was able to kind of do all those vocals and bring them in the really exciting way that she did.
Yeah, I liked it. I loved that soundtrack. I thought it was just perfect, for that whole film. I really did. Now let's talk about, there's more and more women getting into indie horror filmmaking, making more horror films. What's your thoughts about that, seeing more and more women doing more horror?
Yeah, I mean, it's super exciting to be part of this, really, really cool wave of like women doing awesome horror movies. And I feel like I'm constantly very inspired by so many female horror filmmakers and finding this new perspective within that genre. Yeah.
And I also think that horror throughout its history has been just a genre that allows you to base things in the real world and push them to their extreme. And I think that so many women have experiences that are served by seeing them through that lens and by pushing them. And I think that it's incredible to see all those stories come to life.
Especially the ones when you do like dream sequences in horror films. I like that because that could be really real, and you may be manifesting it, you may not. And I love dream sequences in horror films because that really brings it out to life too. It could, who knows? It could really happen.
Yeah. Well, what's so fun about horror, I mean, as a genre, is that like Celina said, like when you go to these extremes, there's obviously a truth and reality that informs them, but they get to be kind of pushed to the limit, and you feel very viscerally in the experience of being pushed to that limit. And it just allows you to go really far with an idea and also have a lot of fun just cinematically and formally when you're kind of going to that extreme.
I totally agree with you. So when you guys are not filmmaking and collaborating, what do you guys enjoy doing? Do you guys have, I always ask this to my guests, you guys have like a nerdy passion or like some type of geek passion you enjoy, when you're not filmmaking or acting?
Well, one of my big things that I do outside of working in film, acting, and writing and producing is I'm also an oil painter. So I'm an artist. So that's a big part of my life and my personality. On the nerdier side of the spectrum, and this goes for Sofie as well, over the pandemic, we got really into board games. We are huge board game nerds.
Yes. Hardcore board game nerds.
So do you each have like a tiara to wear too, because you guys are the queen of the board games?
Oh, that's a good idea.
I feel like I'm like more like the witch of the board games.
Hey, why not? I mean, horror can be in board games too. Shoot, you could do maybe do a short film about a evil board game. I mean, there's some been out there, not many of them out there. Who knows?
Yeah. They're very for sure.
Now, another movie you guys did, you were talking about earlier. Tell me a little bit about this short film that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, Love is a Fire was our project that was on the festival circuit last year. We're gearing up to have hopefully some online release in the early new year, so stay tuned for that. But it was it was my first foray into horror. Before that, Celina and I were making musical comedies. And those are also a little bit wacky for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was a really exciting experience to do. I think I have often been interested in stories that deal with intimacy and sexuality. And as a director, I think that, it can feel very daunting to approach that type of material. And I made that short really as just an opportunity to learn how one creates that environment on set where you can deal with intimacy in that way and in a very fun, creative way. Yeah.
So, Celina, what tapped you into horror?
I think for me, it's kind of it's related to what I was saying earlier. I am a very emotional person. Of course, the actor says that, but I think that I'm really interested in how feelings can feel so huge and overwhelming, and horror is just a way to push that even further into its extremes. And so I never made like a conscious choice to be like, I'm going to do horror, but something about it just always happens to come back to me. And part of what I love about acting is being able to dive into that catharsis almost just having these experiences that are the most intense human experiences imaginable, in a safe, controlled environment. And so that's something that always attracted me to the genre.
So are there any other projects you guys are going to be getting ready to do?
We are in post for a little body horror movie that we shot in September, that we shot actually on 16 millimeter, which was really fun.
Awesome.
And that is called Needle, and it involves sewing, which, fun fact, is actually how Celina and I became friends working in a costume shop together. We were in college, so we both are big into sewing and decided to make a gross body horror movie related to that.
Oh my gosh, I'm sold. I gotta definitely see this. It's probably going to be just as brutal as Ride Baby Ride, or probably worse.
You'll let us know.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know.
I will. Because I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to be doing next. I mean, I enjoyed, Ride Baby Ride. I mean, I think it'd be awesome as a full feature, but I do love the short. I mean, gosh, I think it was at the festival. It was one of my favorite film shorts there. It would have been in my top 5 favorite film shorts of this year at Nightmares Film Festival.
Well, thank you so much. That's so wonderful to hear. We're really excited. We're going to be able to get it more eyes on it in the new year. It will be coming out on Alter in 2024. So it'll be nice that, you'll be able to see it not just on the festival circuit. Sometime somewhat soon.
I'm glad you guys are getting it on Alter, because you're going to get a lot of people viewing this film. I love going on Alter myself because they have so much great horror film shorts on there from everywhere. Stuff you wouldn't even think of what filmmakers are coming. You'll be like, what did I just watch? It's like, I think Alter is a great platform on the YouTube channel. That's where I mostly watch most of my horror shorts if I'm not covering a film festival. And it's another way where I can reach out to filmmakers as well.
Yeah. No, they have such a great, they have amazing curation. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know if you saw, but they did this really wonderful series in October of shorts and features to watch together. So shout out. They're the best. They are.
Shoot, I can see your short film being in that anthology horror film, too.
Well, we're here.
Any anthology filmmakers.
Yeah.
That's right. Why not? It's just like, reach out. It's like, come on. But, yeah, I have a feeling once it pops up on Alter, I think you're going to get a lot of people is going to really enjoy it. You're going to probably get a lot of likes and views because I loved it. It was just brutal, bloody, just a fun film,
Awesome. That's what we love to hear. In spite of it being brutal and bloody, that you can hopefully have some fun going through it.
Now, on the special effects of the film, how'd you guys come up with making the demonic hand?
Well, that was, that was a really fun part of the process. Originally, when I wrote it, I had the hopes and dreams of a more fully developed monster, and partially timing and also creative reasons, but and budgetary reasons. It just was like, let's make it just one body part will be a little bit more manageable. We worked with this amazing makeup effects artist named Emma Croft, who we've worked with previously, and she's just absolutely amazing, and spent every second that Shane wasn't busy being the production designer and supervising all the special effects in the movie. He was over in a tent having his hand painted. And then we also had a really wonderful partnership with a new company called Death Dealer Props, and they do they make all sorts of body parts and bones and even coffins and all sorts of awesome, good horror stuff. So we worked with them to get an arm that was sort of our stand-in, not real arm for any wider shots that we had the hand action in. Yeah.
So where can everybody find you guys on social media so they know what you guys are going to be doing next?
I'm on Instagram. My handle is Sofie Roses. Sofie with an F, no PH for the listeners.
And mine is C Gray B, Gray with an A. And the film is also on Instagram at Ride Baby Ride __ film. Okay.
Yeah, you got it. So yeah, you can find us there. And yeah, we'll be definitely keeping everyone updated on what's next, certainly.
That's definitely, so you can watch it on Instagram.
You can't watch it yet, but we will be posting any festival announcements.
Okay,
and as
gotcha.
soon as it's available up on Alter, we'll be posting that there as well.
Yeah, so everybody got to wait till 2024 to watch it on Alter, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for coming on out of your busy schedule to have fun with me on tonight's show.
Thank you for having us.
And everybody have a great night. Thank you for listening to Horror